It's a beautiful morning, and this is Ezinne. Ezinne is a morning person, an amazing cook, and a mom to her beloved girl. Good morning, sunshine, Ezinne said as she quietly woke Ifunaya, her daughter, up. Good morning, mommy. Do I have to go to school today? Ifunaya said while yawning. Well, it would be such a shame if your friends miss out on seeing your awesome project, Ezune said while pointing at a spaceship she had assisted Ifunaya on the previous day. I know I love it, and they will love it too. It will be so much fun showing it off, Ifunaya said as she happily got out of bed. Afterwards, Ezune got Ifunaya ready for school. This is so yummy, Mama, Ifunaya complimented her mother at breakfast. Soon they were at school. When Oluchi, Ezune's friend, who also came to drop off her son Inamdi, saw her. Good morning, Ezune. Good morning, Oluchi, Ezune replied. Off to work, Oluchi continued. I don't know how you do it. Do what? Being a single mom, juggling with work, a child, and housework. Little sleep and noodles of love. Ezine said, jokingly completing her statement. Ezine, the super mom, that's what you are, Oluchi said as they went their separate ways that morning. Ezine was indeed super. Even at work, her efficiency was outstanding. Thank you, Ezine. You are amazing, Mr. George, our boss, praised. Just doing my job, boss. She was admired by everyone for her diligence. After work, she picked up Ifunaya from school and went grocery shopping. At home, Ezine prepared a nourishing meal for herself and her daughter. After meal, Mom, can I play a little before going to bed? Ifunaya said. All right, baby, Ezine permitted before settling at her study to attend to some work she came home with and also take a look at her bills. Ezine's income was decent, but the rising expenses and Ifunaya's growing needs left her feeling financially stretched. I should take up more work, she thought to herself. I think it's time for bed, she said, yawning. Ifunaya, where are you? It's time for bed, Ezine said, but there was no response, only to find Ifunaya already sleeping on the floor of the living room. She took her daughter to bed and cleared the toys she had scattered all over the place before retiring to bed. For Ezine to manage her expenses, she had to take on more work, which means she would leave work late. So she decided to ask her friend Oluchi to help her pick Ifunaya up from school while she picks her up from her place after work. Ezine worked hard and often returned home exhausted. Mom, can I have fried rice, chicken, and fried plantain today, please? Ifunaya begged with a pity face before Ezine could give any excuses. Okay, Ezine replied one evening. Ezine put all her love in preparing the dish her daughter so wanted because no matter what, she always put her daughter first and made sure she handled every situation with love and grace. Even though she dozed off at the table in the middle of the meal, time went by and Ifunaya grew into a teen. Mom, I'm going out with my friends, said Ifunaya. What about breakfast? Ezine asked. Pancakes. I'll grab something at the mall. Bye, Ifunaya replied and left before her mother could say anything further. At the mall, Ifunaya met up with Akin, her classmate and closest friend, who also came to the mall with Abigail, another friend. Hello, Ifunaya. Hello, Aki and Abigail. Femi's throwing a party tonight, said Abigail. We're all going. Are you coming? Added Aki. A party? Oh, definitely. Back at home, Oluchi came visiting. How are you coping with these terrible things? Oluchi asked. Ifunaya isn't terrible. She's just growing, replied Ezine. I wish I could say the same. Mine is always indoors, screaming at the video games, said Oluchi. Lucky you. Mine is almost never at home, replied Ezine. That evening, Ezine walked in on Ifunaya posing in front of the mirror with a pretty dress. That's pretty. What's that for? Asked Ezine. I'm attending Femi's party tonight, replied Ifunaya. Femi, isn't he the one who bullies those juniors? Ezine questioned. Yeah, but it's... Ifunaya, you're not going to that party, isn't it, Cotton? What? But all my friends will be there, cried Ifunaya. I'm sorry, Ifunaya, but I don't trust that boy, and that means you are not going, said Izini. That isn't fair, Ifunaya cried further. But Ezinne remained firm on her decision. The next day, Ifunanya met up with the friends at school. Girl, you didn't show up last night, asked Abigail. My mom didn't let me, replied Ifunanya. Mind seeing the pictures we took last night? Asked Akin. I don't mind. Please share with me, Ifunanya replied, bringing out her phone. What in the stone age is that? Abigail exclaimed, referring to her phone. My mom got it for me last year, replied Ifunanya. You should get an upgrade, girl, Abigail said, flaunting her iPhone 15 Pro Max. Let the girl breathe, Akin said, coming to her aid. That night, back at home, Mom, I need a new phone. Ifunanya nervously asked. What? Is that one spoiled? Ezinne asked, pointing to the phone in her hand. No, Mom, but my friends have new phones, so being seen with this old dummy is embarrassing, replied Ifunanya. Ifunanya, you practically begged me to buy that one for you, so if it's working, there's no need to buy another one, said Ezinne. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Ifunanya went to get it. On opening, Abigail was standing there. What's up, girl? Look, Femi and his friends are here. Ifunanya looked outside and saw a group of people on motorbikes. We're all going for a night ride. Abigail continued. Come on, join us. Oh, well, let me just... Before she could finish her statement, Ezinne cut in from behind her. I'm sorry, Abigail. Ifunanya won't be joining you. As she closed the door. Why did you do that? Ifunanya asked. I told you, I don't trust him. And Abigail too. Also, they are not putting on helmets. Who knows how dangerously they drive? Replied Ezinne. It's like I'm in prison. No parties, no motorbikes, no new phones. You never let me do anything, Ifunanya said. I'm only trying to protect you, Ezinne replied. No, you are trying to control me, Ifunanya backed at her mother and stormed off to her room crying. Ezinne sighed heavily. Oh, baby, I wish you could just see things from my perspective. At the same time, Ifunanya also wished Ezinne could see things from her perspective too. Next morning, Ezinne woke up to a loud scream from Ifunanya's room. She got up and raced to her room, calling out her name, only to get there and find someone looking exactly like her, staring into the mirror. Ifunanya, is that you? What's going on here? She stepped in front of the mirror to see herself in her daughter's body. They had made a wish at the same time and had switched bodies. Oh no, what's going on? Ifunanya exclaimed. We've clearly switched bodies, but why? Don't worry, honey, said Ezinne. Don't worry, you say. I've suddenly turned into a 50-year-old woman, cried Ifunanya. I'm not 50, Ifu, Ezinne corrected. But Ifunanya continued crying and whining as Ezinne, now in Ifunanya's body, thought hard and came up with a suggestion. Maybe we should just go about our day normally. What? Ifunanya exclaimed. Ezinne continued. Look, we don't know how this situation is going to last. But we have school, said Ifunanya, angrily and confused. Luckily, you can work from home, replied Ezinne. This feels weird, commented Ifunanya. During breakfast, they filled each other in on what to expect at school and at work. You just need to fill in this data. You'll be fine, said Ezinne to her daughter, showing her how to go about it on her laptop. I hope so, Ifunanya answered. And about school, Ezinne cut in. Relax, I was a straight A student, so there's nothing to worry about. Just do the laundry and grocery shopping. Sure, I can handle that, Ifunanya replied and bade her mother, who is now in her own body, goodbye as she left for school pretending to be her. Back at home, everything seemed to be going on fine with Ifunanya as she replied some mails until she continued receiving more mails than she can handle, which left her confused. Ezinne, on the other hand, was dealing with a surprise math test. Was math always this tough? She thought to herself after glancing through the questions. Meanwhile, Ifunanya was struggling at home, this time with the laundry, as she couldn't figure out which button or which quantity of detergent to use. Later, she attempted to make lunch. I need a plate. Oh no, I didn't do the dishes. Suddenly, she heard disturbing noise from the laundry room. She dropped the pot of food and rushed the direction of the noise to find bubbles all over the place. Oh no, what's all this now? It's not even evening and I'm already exhausted. In the evening, Ezinne came home. since social life is so tough, she said to herself as Ifunanya walked into the living room. Mom, I'm tired and starving. Since there was not much groceries, Ezinne whipped up sandwiches, which they ate quietly. The next day was luckily a weekend, but Ifunanya was not happy. So now I have to walk to the store, Ifunanya angrily asked. Neither of us can drive a car. I look underage and you do not know how to drive yet. And since I'm cooking and doing laundry, you need to get the groceries. Okay, fine. At the store, she went around confused, staring at the list. What's wheat flour? What's self-rising? Is it the same? She went from store to store, carrying the heavy bags as she dragged herself home. Oh, this is so unfair, Ifunanya said, frustrated. Welcome home. Lunch is served, said Ezinne. Pasta? Asked Ifunanya. There are only few ingredients at home, so I had to make do with it. Ezinne said as a message got on Ifunanya's phone. I don't want pasta, and Abigail just asked me to go to the movies with her, and I can't go. This is so unfair, Ifunanya said and ran out of the house frustrated. She wandered around until she reached the park. She sat down and glared at the birds. Ezinne, Oluchi called as she walked towards her and sat by her side. Mommy Nam. Oh, I mean Oluchi. Ifunanya stuttered as she remembered the whole situation. I'm here for a stroll, Oluchi continued. Are you okay? Yeah, it's just mom. I mean Ifunanya. She's so annoying. Everything is annoying. Wow, I've never heard you complain about Ifunanya, said Oluchi. Ifunanya was surprised. Never once, Ifunanya asked. Remember those nights you soothed her to sleep when she was a baby? Other moms grumbled about losing sleep, but you never did. You cook up amazing meals after a hard day's work. When she became a picky eater, but you never complained. Even now that she's a teenager, you always put her first. You are an amazing mother. Ifunanya began to think back about how hard her mother loved and cared for her. She thanked Oluchi before taking her leave. Back at home, Ezinne was waiting outside for Ifunanya. Just then, Akin passed by. Hey Ifunanya, how far? Akin, how are you? They greeted. Is everything okay? Akin asked. I'm just a bit stressed about I mean my mom. Ifunanya replied. Another fight, Akin continued. Our parents really struggle to understand us. They don't know what we deal with and how hard our lives are. But I know you love her. I've seen the way your eyes sparkle when you talk about her. For real? Ifunanya asked. Yes, but I have to go now. Bye, see you. After a while, Ifunanya returned. Ifunanya, you're back. Look at the food I made from the amazing groceries you got. Ifunanya was surprised with the quantity of food on the table. Ezinne continued, I know things are tough right now, but we will get through it together. Mom, I'm sorry for all the mean things I've said and done to you. I didn't realize how hard it's been raising me. I couldn't do the dishes, the groceries, even the dishes kept piling up. I didn't realize how much you handle every day, Ifunanya confessed. And I didn't know being a teenager in today's world could be so complicated. I'm sorry, Ifunanya, for not understanding you, said Ezinne. Would you believe it if I told you I don't like Abigail? Said Ifunanya. I don't like her either, but Akin seems like a good boy, replied Ezinne. Yeah, you're right, commented. Mom, I think you are a superhero and I love you. And I love you even more, dear. And they hugged. It was at this moment they both switched back. Oh, I'm back. Me too. Are you happy you're not a 50-year-old anymore? Isn't it? But you're not 50, Ifunanya replied happily. And so, Ezinne and Ifunanya began to navigate their lives together. Ezinne maintained her super efficiency but became more empathetic towards her daughter. Ifunanya started acknowledging and appreciating her mother's efforts and also began to learn the necessary things. The end. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time.